Okay, in this last video for this learning target, we need to show you what can be kind of a if all else fails solution trick here, but we want to show you how to solve these equations by graphing. And I don't mean necessarily by sketching this by hand, although that would work, but that would be kind of time consuming. I mean by using the graphing utility you have at your disposal, the graphing calculator. So we want to try and solve this equation on the interval from 0 to 2 pi still. And we want to solve 4 sine of x equals cosine of x minus 2. So the technique I'm going to suggest to you, and there are other ways to do this, but I would suggest that you get 0 on one side. Take this term here and move it to the other side and change every sign. So if I had positive cosine x on the right side, it would be negative cosine x on the left. If I had negative 2 on the right side, it would be positive 2 on the left. And then that would equal 0. So my strategy, my plan now, is to get out the graphing calculator, which inconveniently turned off for me for a second. Now if you hit not second, just mode, you need to make sure that you are in radian mode. On my calculator, it's about the 4th line here. But since we were talking about going from 0 to 2 pi, we need to make sure that our calculator is giving us values from 0 to 2 pi. Okay? And those are radian measures, so make sure your calculator is in radian mode. Another thing you might want to do before you actually graph this is to hit your window button and change your window. If I only care about values between 0 and 2 pi, only care about x values between 0 and 2 pi, maybe I should make my minimum and maximum x values 0 and 2 pi. 2 pi, pi is second and then the little exponent button. Or you can type in 6.28, that's fine too. I don't know what the y values are. I can kind of surmise it based on what I know about amplitude here. But I think for now I'll just leave the y window like it is. So now let me look at a graph and see if I can find where this is true. Essentially, I'm going to graph this, and I'm going to see where that might equal 0. So let's hit y equals. There's nothing on my graph window. I need 4 sine of x minus cosine of x plus 2. And I'm going to hit the graph button and I'm going to see if I can figure out where that would equal 0. Here we go. Well, I see one value here. It looks like we actually have a second one. Okay. Now at this point I just need to figure out what these x values are, these two x values on my graph, where the function we graphed equals 0. And you may already know how to do this. This hopefully is a review for you, but if not, your calculator will do that for you. If you hit second and the trace button gives you the calc option. The second option on that menu is 0. So if I hit 2 or go down, what I need to do now is I need to figure out an approximation for this value. So what I want to do is it asks me for a left bound. I need to pick or trace in an x value that's less than that value. And my scale is every 1, so it looks like the value x equals 3 would be a value that's less than that 0, right there. To the left of that 0, you might say. I'll hit enter. Now they want a right bound. They want an x value that's more than that 0. Well, looks like that 0 is a little bit less than 4, but just to be safe, I'll type in like 4.5. And I'll hit enter. And the last thing they're going to ask me is, do you want to guess what the 0 is? And usually I just say no. I'll just hit enter one more time and it will give it to me. And it's going to think for a minute, and it says about 3.893. We'll go to about 3 places here. So x equals 3.893. And I'll go ahead and put my comma for the second one. I can repeat the process to try and get this 0 here. So I'll hit second in Calc. I need option 2, that's a 0. I want to pick a left bound. I want to pick a value, an x value that's less than that. Looks like x equals 5 would work. But then I also want to pick a y value, or excuse me, an x value that comes after that. It looks like that one might be right at about 6. Maybe I should put in about 6.2 or something like that. And again, it will say, do you want to guess? Nah, you just tell me. And I get about 6.022. 6.022. And there we have it. There are the two solutions.